Did you know that nearly 40% of people who consider themselves peak performers, marathon runners, keto enthusiasts, and gym goers who never miss a day, are actually walking around with stage 1 hypertension and have absolutely no clue because they feel perfect? It sounds like a medical contradiction, but the reality is that high blood pressure is the ultimate silent predator, and it doesn't care how many miles you run if your internal biochemistry is out of sync. Most people fail to realize that physical fitness and cardiovascular health are not always the same thing, leading to a dangerous complacency that results in sudden cardiac events in seemingly healthy individuals. But here's the twist that most doctors are too busy to explain in a 15-minute appointment. Your healthy habits might actually be the very things driving your numbers up. If you have been doing everything right and your blood pressure is still high, you aren't failing. You are simply operating on incomplete data, and what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you view your heart health. Don't skip ahead, because the game-changing tip regarding your hidden sodium intake comes much later, and if you miss the physiological why, the solutions won't stick. The primary reason healthy people suffer from high blood pressure often comes down to the athletic paradox, where high-intensity training combined with high-stress lifestyles creates a state of chronic sympathetic dominance. You might be eating kale and salmon, but if your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode due to work deadlines or overtraining, your blood vessels remain constricted regardless of your diet. This is a common pain point for the overachiever. You are doing more, but your body is interpreting that more as a threat. We see this frequently in patients who have white coat syndrome at the doctor's office, but also maintain high readings at home during rest. But wait until you see what happened next when we analyze the mineral ratios of these high-performing individuals, because the problem wasn't what they were eating, it was the biological shunting of minerals. Most people miss step number 3 in heart health, which involves the sodium-potassium pump, and I will explain why your current clean diet might actually be starving your cells of the voltage they need to keep your arteries relaxed. Comment yes if you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but the scale or the blood pressure cuff just won't budge. Let's talk about the silent triggers, starting with the one that almost every health nut overlooks: the massive difference between visceral health and subcutaneous fitness. You can have a six-pack and still have visceral fat surrounding your organs, which releases inflammatory cytokines that stiffen your arterial walls. This thin on the outside, fat on the inside, or TOFI profile is a leading cause of hypertension in people who look great in a swimsuit. Another massive culprit is the modern sleep crisis. If you are getting 7 hours of sleep but you have undiagnosed mild sleep apnea, common in even fit people with certain neck structures, your blood pressure will skyrocket during the night and stay elevated all day. But here's the kicker that most people miss. Even healthy, fermented foods or high-protein meal preps can be loaded with hidden sodium that exceeds your daily limit by 300%. The real secret to why your healthy lifestyle isn't working comes at the 10-minute mark when we dive into the genetic component called salt sensitivity, which affects nearly 50% of the population regardless of their fitness level. If you're seeing high numbers despite a low-salt diet, you might actually be a salt waster, and your body is overcompensating in a way that's ruining your vascular elasticity. Transitioning into the solutions, the first thing we must address is the mineral delta, or the gap between your magnesium intake and your calcium output. Most people focus exclusively on salt, but high blood pressure in healthy people is often a magnesium deficiency in disguise. Magnesium is the natural calcium channel blocker that tells your heart muscle to relax after a contraction. If you are an athlete, you are sweating out your magnesium every single day. And if you aren't replacing it with the specific chelated forms like magnesium malate or taurate, your arteries stay locked in a state of tension. Try this now and see what happens over the next 7 days. Increase your intake of potassium-rich foods like avocado and coconut water to at least 4,700 milligrams a day, which is the RDA that almost no one actually hits. Most people miss the fact that potassium is the antidote to sodium. It literally pulls sodium out of the cells and flushes it through the kidneys, reducing the fluid volume in your blood vessels and dropping your pressure naturally. Don't skip the next section because I'm going to show you how a specific 5-minute breathing technique can outperform some prescription medications in the short term. Let's look at a real-world case study of option A versus option B. Patient A was a 45-year-old triathlete with a blood pressure of 150/95. He tried to outrun the problem with more cardio, thinking his heart just needed to be stronger. This resulted in more cortisol and even higher pressure. Patient B, with the same profile, switched to a nitric oxide focus, which involved eating high-nitrate vegetables like arugula and beets, combined with nasal breathing to increase endogenous nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It makes your pipes wider so the fluid flows with less resistance. Within 3 weeks, patient B saw a drop of 15 points without changing his workout intensity. The real secret comes at the midpoint of this protocol. You have to stop using antiseptic mouthwash. Yes, you heard that right. Mouthwash kills the oral bacteria that convert nitrates from your food into nitric oxide. If you're a healthy person who is obsessed with hygiene, you might be accidentally killing the very microbes that keep your blood pressure low. This is the kind of micro solution that can make or break your health journey, yet it's rarely discussed in a standard physical. Moving deeper into actionable solutions, we need to address the cortisol-insulin loop. Many healthy people are on high-protein, low-carb diets, which can sometimes trigger an overproduction of cortisol if not managed correctly. Elevated cortisol signals the kidneys to retain salt, which increases blood volume and pressure. If you find your pressure is highest in the morning, this is likely a cortisol issue. Troubleshooting tip: if your morning readings are high, but your evening readings are low, try adding 20 grams of slow-digesting complex carbohydrates to your last meal to stabilize your blood sugar throughout the night and lower your morning stress hormones. Furthermore, let's talk about Zone 2 training versus high-intensity interval training. While HIIT is great for calories, Zone 2, steady-state cardio, where you can still hold a conversation, is the gold standard for vascular remodeling. It makes the heart chambers larger and the vessel walls more elastic. Most healthy people spend too much time in the no man's land of heart rate zones, which stresses the heart without providing the elasticity benefits. Comment pulse if you want me to do a deep dive into the specific heart rate zones for longevity in my next video. Now, for the most critical step that most people ignore, the 4-7-8 breathing method for autonomic resetting. If you are healthy but high-strung, your baroreceptors, the sensors in your neck that tell your brain what the pressure is, might be reset to a higher baseline. You need to recalibrate them. By inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 7, and exhaling for 8, you force your body into a parasympathetic state. If you do this twice a day for 5 minutes, research shows it can lower systolic pressure by up to 10 points. But here's the twist. It only works if you breathe through your nose. Mouth breathing at night or during exercise causes a loss of CO2, which results in constricted blood vessels. This is why mouth taping has become a huge trend among biohackers. It's not just for snoring, it's a blood pressure intervention. Save this guide for the step-by-step breakdown later, because if you don't master the breath, your diet won't matter. We are reaching the final segment where I will give you the specific anti-hypertension shopping list. But before we get there, let's compare supplementation versus whole foods. Most people go straight for the pill, but a 2,000-character breakdown of the hibiscus protocol shows that drinking 3 cups of hibiscus tea a day can be as effective as a low-dose ACE inhibitor with 0 side effects. Finally, you need to understand that blood pressure management is a 24-hour cycle. You cannot be healthy for 1 hour at the gym and ignore the other 23 hours of vascular stress. If X happens, meaning your pressure spikes after a meal, do Y. Take a 10-minute brisk walk. This simple act utilizes the glucose muscle pump, which clears excess sugar from your blood that would otherwise damage the delicate glycocalyx lining of your arteries. Maintaining health is about these micro wins that prevent the gradual stiffening of the great vessels. Most people fail because they look for one big solution, but the real secret to staying healthy as you age is the accumulation of these small biological resets. If you have been frustrated by high numbers despite your best efforts, remember that your body is a complex system of fluid dynamics and electrical signals. If one wire is crossed, be it a mineral deficiency, a breathing habit, or a hidden salt sensitivity, the whole system registers a high pressure warning. By implementing the nitric oxide boosters, the magnesium balance, and the autonomic breathing techniques we've discussed, you aren't just treating a number, you are optimizing the very infrastructure of your life. Watch next. The 5 silent signs your arteries are clogging for deeper insights into how to track your progress beyond just the blood pressure cuff. Save this guide for the step-by-step breakdown of the mineral ratios I mentioned, so you can refer back to it during your next meal prep session. Subscribe for part 2, where I reveal the specific laboratory tests you need to ask your doctor for, the ones that go beyond a basic metabolic panel to see the hidden inflammation that is the true root cause of hypertension in the world's fittest people. Don't let your health be a guessing game. Use the science of vascular elasticity to ensure that your outside fitness is matched by your internal longevity. Comment below if you've tried any of these methods or if you have a healthy habit that you think might be secretly raising your blood pressure. Let's build a community of high performers who are truly healthy from the inside out by tackling the silent predator once and for all. Your heart has worked for you since before you were born. It's time you did the work to keep its pressure exactly where it belongs. Stay hydrated, stay mineralized, and keep your breath deep and slow. That is the blueprint for a long, high-powered life.